Hello and welcome back to Life in Six Strings, and look who is with me. It's the wonderful Max Helyer from You Me at Six.
Hello, how are you doing, Kylie? Nice to see you again. It's been a while.
It has been a while, and I was thinking about the last time I saw you was it when we were at the Airborne playback?
We were at the Airborne playback, yes.
And then
Sanctum.
We were indeed, and I know that when I spoke to you then, you were super excited because you were getting ready to go off to Thailand to record your next album.
Yeah, so that must be, lockdown's thrown all like my times off place. I think for everybody else, it's been like, it's like, what day is it? Like,
I have no idea what the day is.
I've lost track. So that was probably about October time, maybe just before we left. So we went to a studio in Thailand called Karma Studios.
Right.
We were there for 5 weeks just recording our new record that we'll probably be announcing in the next few weeks. We've got a new song coming out soon, probably in the next 3 weeks or so, maybe August time. So yeah, we were there for 5 weeks, and you know, never been to Thailand before. You say Thailand to make a record and you really don't think what's gonna go on here, because we've made records in like LA, you know, we've done Sunset Sound, we've been at NRG, and then also like talking about Nashville as well. We've been at Blackbird, and so it's like you always get that kind of vibe of American studios. You know what you're going to get. Where Thailand was a bit of a curveball that none of us knew what to expect, but it was an amazing experience. A very great studio that was based off Abbey Road Studio D, and it sounded great. Yeah, the room was basically built off Studio D at Abbey Road and spec'd out to the same side of that. So
I never knew that.
Yeah, it was really cool. So yeah, we were there for 5 weeks. We recorded about 15, 16 songs, and you know, it was quite interesting because obviously we had to take minimal gear. So I took my pedalboard, and I used this boutique guitar company called Audio Kitchen in the UK, and they make custom heads for, you know, anywhere from Queens of the Stone Age to Arctic Monkeys to Foals, just to name a few. I think he's done a custom head for Reeves from The Cure as well. So it's such a tiny head. I actually might be able to go and get it just to show people how small this guitar head is, because it's like perfect for traveling as well.
Okay, well that's pretty cool. I love this. This is what I love about doing a live show, and I love the fact that.
So you can see, like I'm like 5'9", and that's like, if I put it next to the guitar, you'll be able to tell, like in comparison, like a size-wise of what this head is.
Perfect.
So I can put it in my suitcase and fly with it, and it's perfect for traveling when we're doing festivals, because I'm not sure if your users or like the people are viewing or not right now. I have a Kemper in my home studio just because of the convenience of it, and turn up super loud. It's pretty great sounding straight away. But when I have my live setup, I run 2 guitar heads simultaneously at the same time, which is one being an Audio Kitchen little chopper, and the other one being a Fender Twin Reverb.
So that's what you used on the album. That's incredible.
Yeah, that was pretty much my setup, to be honest. There was a few other amps there, like a Vox AC30 from like the 60s, which was really good. But like I've kind of worked on my sound for like the last 7 years, and just trying to find what works for me. So having like a small head like that, I can fly around anywhere in the world, is really good. And most places that we go will normally have a Fender Twin Reverb, and I use like the silver face one from the 70s.
So are you a bit of a gearhead then?
In technical terms, I wouldn't say gearhead. I do like my stuff, but I'm not like, oh, I know this and X, Y, and Z. I just kind of found my way across using this setup for me that works really well, and the other guys in the band use Kempers Live, which is really good and it's like very reliable. But then I kind of like to read the color that just kind of has a bit of a variation of sound and a little bit more actual amps blowing air at the speakers. That you can get it from a Kemper, and I think they sound fantastic. But it's just the character, I think, for our band that kind of makes it sound a bit more unique.
Yeah, exactly. So how did you pick those pedals then?
Pedal wise, it's like when I first started playing, I didn't really care about pedals. I was like, just amp, loads of gain, let's rock really hard. And then over time, I just kind of found myself being like, well, I want to be adventurous. Let's start developing my sound. And if it was, I think the first thing was like one of the Boss pedals, the DD20s.
Yeah.
That you can do tap tempo on. which was really fun. And then I started messing about with chorus pedals.
Okay.
So obviously you go to like Boss. You know, Boss is a standard but very reliable, very great sounding pedals. And you know, there were things I picked up over time that I was like, well, I like this and I like that. If it was an OCD full tone for, obviously we're talking about guitars, I'm hopeful that a lot of people are sitting here knowing, oh yeah, I know an OCD full tone, like overdrive pedal, and even simple things like Soul Food, which is an electro harmonics pedal, that's like a boost pedal, which is a replica of a Klon. That's like one of the world's most infamous pedals that everybody wants to have on their board.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but now they're like, because they're old school, you can get replicas made of them, but the original ones are like well over like $1,000, $2,000, you know, pounds, like whenever you can get your hands on it. So I think, like, if I could show you, if I twist my, I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it, but I've got like a pedal cabinet there, just full of stuff in there.
Oh, wow.
I've just become like the stock pedals now that have just stayed at home. Because like I was pretty much, my setup on my board hasn't changed for years now. It's been like 4 or 5 years I've not changed it, but if from the top of my head, because my pedal boards are lock up right now that I've not been into for the last 4 or 5 months since lockdown. So thank you, Kemper, for being like the lifeline that I've really needed in this time. But on my board, I have a volume, like pedal, early board volume, junior. You know, trying to retrace my steps. It's at the end of the chain going into the amp. I think it would be my reverb, which I have a TC Electronics Hall of Fame, which is a very small but reliable reverb pedal. And then I use Strymon, the Strymon Timeline for my delays, and Strymon Mobius for all my modulation sounds, like my chorus, my phase, the wahs, all the funky kind of sounds of things.
See, I can't wait to get into all of that. But I mean, when can I start using that stuff? I guess I have to learn the basics, don't I? Really?
Yeah, I think like always it's great to learn the basics because it's like you always want to jump to the end goal. But you know, I had guitar lessons when I first started playing a few years ago now. I'm just going to say in the kindness of my way. Literally, like I just started like playing songs. I didn't really care about sounds because it was like I just wanted to be really good at playing guitar. And I think you know that when you start an instrument, it's going to take a lot of time and practice to put into it. So I would spend an hour every day when I first started playing, just like if it was like even just using finger grips to kind of get used to holding like a fretboard. So my grip was really good. And because when I had a teacher, I was taught for like 1.5 years. And obviously when you hold it like your hand on the fretboard and you start playing, it's like, I probably still play not like professionally, amazingly. Like I don't do, sometimes I claw my thumb over the top of the fretboard.
Yeah, I get told off about that all the time from my guitar teacher. She's like, thumb down, thumb down.
Yeah, thumb down in the middle of the fret, you know, it always should be like in the center of the fretboard behind. But that's because like you get cramp over time. So it's all about this training the fingers, you know, so even scales. But
then I see Bonamassa and he's like that.
Oh yeah, but I think it's just kind of habits that people pick up on as well. Like you could be the best guitar player in the world, but you could have the worst habits. But does it really matter at the end of the day? I think what you're trying to get is, you know, like you should just have a sensibility. If you can do that, great. But like, I don't really have massive hands, so I can't just sit there and be like that and shred away. Sometimes I have to use certain techniques, like, you know, if I'm like kind of clawing over this kind of mute things and strings that I'm playing. So I think everybody has their own way of playing. I think this, whatever works for you should be great. Like I know you should be told if it's right or wrong. Obviously there's a technical right, but if it works for you and you can play it, that's all that matters at the end of the day.
True. If it sounds good, it doesn't matter, does it? The Twitch audience are asking a few questions, actually. Showtime88 said, did the Thai culture influence the sound of the new album?
The Thai culture? I don't know if it was...
question.
Yeah, we did write a couple of songs when we were there. Like I think we had like 13 or 14 songs before we went that we were recording. And we wrote 2 whilst we were there. But I wouldn't say they're influenced by Thai sound, that's for sure. But it was nice just to kind of be in a culture that is, we were very close to a beach and it was just very chilled. So you'd hear different styles of music that sometimes you would kind of pick up on and be like, oh, that sounds quite cool. And oh, I wonder how they do that. And you can look into it and all that. So, you know, some of those things just naturally bleed into your records. But I don't think, I wouldn't say the Thai sound is coming across on our new rock record, that's for sure.
That's excellent. I know you didn't do it, you didn't experiment or anything like that, because I know one of the producers that worked on an album with Muse said that they brought bones like from the butchers into the recording studio and started experimenting with sounds and stuff. I think it was Matt Bellamy got them out and was doing them on the guitar and stuff.
That sounds like a Matt Bellamy thing to do as well. He's always pushing the sound and trying to find new things. And you can see even with his like Mason guitars, his custom guitars with like the Chaos pad at the bottom that he uses on Mad. And it's like, it's kind of just like these crazy ideas that you're like, how do I bring this to life? And him being like a massive sponsor of that company is, you know, he can do a lot of things. And he's a guitar god as well, I would say. I think he's one of the more recent guitar icons out there that's kind of got his unique style and sound.
Yeah, he's one that you always forget about, actually, which is weird. And then you see them live and you go, oh my God, he is a guitar hero. I don't know why I forget that, but I do. And then you see them live and it kind of reminds you just how brilliant he is.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. There's so many great musicians out there now. I think the world that we live in, there's so much exposure to different guitarists or musicians out there that can just showcase, where before I think, you know, if we're talking about the 60s and 70s, you know, when you've got like the Beatles and Pink Floyd and The Who, like they were the big icons, you know, you were always, they were in the limelight. So your Pete Townsends and your John Lennons and George Harrisons and Dave Gilmours, they were the limelight right there, where, you know, Bellamy came through, I think, some of the last of the generation of like before the internet really kicked off. But he kind of transitioned and developed his style from just being a rock band and incorporating lots of different styles and genres into their music.
So it's a good point, actually. I mean, you guys you got together in 2004, didn't you?
Yeah, 2004, 2005 roughly, and we were like 15 when we started.
Insane, isn't it, to think how long you've been together and you've known each other from such a young age.
Yeah, well, I think that's been an exciting thing, but also it's like a teething process of where things kind of happened really quickly for us. We kind of had to have our teething stages in front of a lot of people. So our first record does sound like 15, anywhere between 15 to 18-year-olds kind of imitating what they really liked at that time. Yeah. So, you know, it wasn't like, hey, we're like developed artists now and we're here and we can write brilliant songs. It was like, hey, we're just having fun when we're 15 years of age. This sounds good. Yeah, that's good. We'll put that out now instead. So.
Oh my God, that's insane. So do you feel like because it was your third album, the album that really kind of put you out there as a band. I mean, do you feel like where you were then and where you are now, like you're very different, aren't you, as humans, like you say, and you've evolved as people. Do you feel like that? Do you just feel like you're growing as a band together? And
yeah, I would say, you know, like as a quick development for probably, because I'm sure maybe a lot of your audience don't really know of our band. It was, you know, we were classified as a pop punk emo band back in the day that was influencing the sounds of bands like Paramore, Jimmy Eat World, Fall Out Boy, you know, artists in that kind of ilk. That was what we listened to. Bands like Incubus as well, and which is a little bit more on the more rock lenient side of things. And we kind of progressed, and like you said, we made another record called Hold Me Down that was just a little bit more sharper than the first record, and it wasn't just imitating. We started to think, oh, we can write some songs and find our feet. And, you know, me, for a guitarist at this point, I'm still practicing developing skills at this age. And even right now, I'm always trying to learn new things. So then by the time we got to our third record, which was called Sinners Never Sleep, it was the first time we recorded in America, and we did it with Garth Richardson, who recorded Rage Against the Machine, self-titled record, you know. So it was like going in and working with like a real like A-list producer that was, you know, doing pre-production, getting into rooms and re-scratching songs and changing things about it. And working in these great studios, you feel pressure to be like, you want to match the level, you want to be playing better. And the songs were more developed. We started to find a little bit of our own sound in a way that when you're 20, 21, after doing it for 4 or 5 years, you know, made 2 records. And, you know, from that record, that was a top 5 record in the UK, to the record after Cavalier Youth which was recorded a little bit at NRG and our producer at the time called Neil Afron's house in California, in LA, was like, cool, we can write songs now. We were experimenting in different areas of, you know, if it was hard rock, a little bit more single note riffs, or if it was just like simple songs as well. Like I find for us, the chord basis, if you can just sit on playing on guitar and sing it with a vocal in its bare bones, that's when you know you've got a really good song. So I would even say for yourself, you know, like practicing chord progressions as well. Like my first song I ever learned was like Knocking on Heaven's Door. Simple song, it's like just it's a G, a D, and an A, you know, but like one of the world's most known songs, 3 or 4 chord progressions, and
it's insane, that, isn't it? Yeah, you're right.
You know, like so that's what I find is the most. That's the theory, the 4 chords of doom, but it's something that works about it. Everybody has their own flavors, so you know, I've just found that for me, I'm not the most flashy guitar player in the world, but what I do like is finding chords and seeing how it works, you know, and then maybe experimenting a little bit more. So I was watching you before I jumped on. You were like, "What's your favorite chord?" And you were saying it's like the A major 7. Like I've been really getting into like all the major 7s and the 11s, and seeing how I can incorporate what I do as a guitar player into learning some of these other traits that maybe are more lenient towards like jazz and soul and rhythm and blues kind of music, you know, that I can then maybe have my own spin on that when I come to write a You Me at 6 song, or when I'm writing for other artists. I'm like, okay, cool. What can I bring like an A sharp major 7 into it? It's into you guys. Oh, that sounds a little bit different than just you know, the A sharp major. You know, just having it's an instant different tonally sound. So
yeah. That's when it gets fun, isn't it? I think when you do that, when you, like you say, you could just alter it slightly and you can hear the difference and you're like, oh, that's what I was trying to say. Amazing.
Yeah, exactly. It was like Nile Rodgers. I was watching this amazing documentary on David Bowie. And obviously when Nile kind of came into that era when he was making music, he was saying, oh, when he was just playing Heroes, he just had like this idea of just playing the chords, and then because Niall's musical knowledge is amazing, he was like, okay, cool, well, it could be like this, and I transition it into this chord, and maybe if I shift up a tone, I can play it up here on these strings. So you can really register and pick out how he's playing his instrument and transposing it in different areas on the spot, which, you know, very talented people are like that. So I wouldn't say I'm that talented, but what I do is I like to just sit there and have fun. You know, I think that's the reason why I started playing guitar, is because I was drawn to it. From the minute I heard rock and metal bands, I remember growing up, like the minute I heard something like Metallica, you know, like it's an iconic riff at the start, and you're like, oh, that I'm drawn to that as a sound of music. And then, you know, it's stuff like Nirvana, Smells Like Teen Spirit. Again, Kurt Cobain was one of the best guitarists because his simplicity, the way he could express himself, was being very simple but effective at what he did.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you mentioned some already, but Brute, who's one of the Twitch audience, he was just asking who were your biggest guitar influences when you were growing up? When
I was growing up, you know, definitely Kurt Cobain was the reason why I started playing guitar. And I think a lot of people
Really?
Yeah, I think a lot of people would have been like that, like who were my age as well, like kind of growing up. And it was a movement. Like I was really young when Nirvana came out. So when you're getting a little bit older and you're starting to hear, you're not hearing what's just been put on the radio, you're starting to find out more music for yourself. You know, Nirvana was one that just kind of caught my ear just because the aggression. When you're young and you're angsty, it just kind of really drew to me, you know, but the simplicity of it as well was something that was really engaging for me to be like, I want to learn guitar, because it wasn't just sweeps and shreds like Iron Maiden, you know, like Adrian Smith's a fucking amazing guitar player. Like, there's no doubt about it, but that takes like years to get there, or hours and hours of playing and dedication to be at a level of that player. So, you know, for me, it's like, well, Kurt Cobain was simple, but it was elegant, and it really was effective with how he played. You know, growing up, other guitarists would be like, that's when we started the bands like Blink-182, Tom DeLonge, you know, people that I was like, it's something that I looked up to. But the more, like, the more I got older and the more my music taste changed, I always kind of started looking into other players, you know, like, so something like Chris Cornell, for instance, like with like Soundgarden and Audio Slave, just he had a very unique way of writing and playing songs that was beautiful, but they had a way to kind of create their own sound, their own shift and movements that, you know, it takes time to get there, and you kind of stumble across it sometimes without really going, hey, I'm going to be different, you know. I think what makes you different is the person who's playing it. Everybody can play an instrument, but the person who plays behind it is what creates the character and the feel behind everybody.
So do you feel like the guitar is an extension of your personality then?
Yeah, I definitely would say so. Like, if I go to anybody's house and there's a guitar there, I'm going straight for it. I'm picking it up, and I don't care what happens. It was, oh, he's gone for the guitar again. But you might just pick up something and play something that you're like, okay, cool, I didn't expect that to happen. You can write a song wherever in the world. You just don't know when that next song's going to come out of you. You should be ready for it.
So do you feel like there's an element of, like, when you're holding your guitar now,
yeah,
does it give you something like this confidence that when you put it down, you feel slightly different, like you're missing, like something's missing?
Yes and no, to a certain extent. Like when I'm sitting here, like if I'm like writing a song, I would sit for like 20 minutes, half an hour, jamming out on it, and then I'd kind of just record on my voice notes on my phone, or just quickly put it on my computer, and then I walk away for half an hour to an hour, and I'd go and do something else. I'd go and have a walk, or I'd go and have a cigarette, have a coffee, whatever, and maybe I'd listen to other bits of music as well, and like try.
Aren't you scared of doing that? That you kind of get too influenced by it?
I think there's always influence from anything, you know. I think music's always been influenced by other people who've played music before. That, you know, is sometimes you can use it as a reference, you know. Sometimes it's just natural and things come to you, but I know the more that I kind of have reference points and trying to create feeling as well. Like, you know, when you hear something for the first time, it gives you this sense of like, you know, remember the first time you heard Here Comes the Sun by the Beatles and how that kind of made you feel. It's like, how do you get that feeling from a song, you know? And sometimes that's the hunt as songwriters and artists. You're always trying to chase and strive to get.
Yeah, I get that. So we're getting lots of questions, actually. Brute says Chris Cornell was amazing. Kirk was a genius, says Ninja Pig. Max says, Brute, what riff do you wish you had written?
Seven Nation Army by the White Stripes.
Oh, really?
Again, it's another simple riff.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
And that's the joy. That's what I'm saying. Not all the best riffs or the best songs in the world have to be technical, but you know, you can go anywhere in the world and you can hear boom, 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 and you're like,
yeah.
It's simple, but like it's so memorable, and like you must be. Jack White again is another guitarist that's just an icon in his own right, you know, because what he did and how he played guitar, again, the person who's behind playing the instrument had such a character and feel that made it sing in a different way that you're like, that's Jack White playing the guitar, because he's got iconic traits about his style of playing.
He's eccentric, and it definitely comes across in his playing, for sure.
And
he experiments with all the guitars, like he pulls them apart, doesn't he, and rebuilds them and stuff, which is.
Well, you've obviously, like everybody has seen, It Might Get Loud. You know, what a film! You've got three legends of guitar players, and in different areas of their own right. And when the film starts off, him just making a little one-string guitar, like that's the kind of level that you want to be at. You know, like. He has a massive passion for it, and he just kind of puts his energy into the guitar. That, like you said, it's eccentric, it's loud, it's got his own kind of sound. But it's a lot of fuzz, which I love. Don't get me wrong. I think that was some of his best work, was the fuzzier kind of sounds. Like even if it's like Icky Thump and stuff like that, or you know, just how it made a guitar sing. That's what really drew me to him.
How does he get that fuzz then?
A pedal, you know, or like he was using this amazing app. There's a Silvertone head that was like made in like the 60s. I think was it a 2212 or something? I can't remember from the top of my head. but like it was just this unique character sound that the way they kind of wired it and the boards, the mechanisms, it just screamed in a different way. But JHS, the pedal company, they make a pedal called the Twin 12, which is a replica of that guitar head sound. So then, like, if you would have had a guitar and an amp, just pedals again, it's very fun. You can lose hours in them, like, and just messing about with different sounds. So
got so much to look forward to, haven't I, Max? Jesus.
You've got a lot of guitar stuff going, and you've got a lot of great guitarist mates as well that's going to teach you a lot of different things along the way.
Yeah, I'll be calling you up, that's for sure.
I'll give you 4 chords. I'll give you chord progressions. That's what I can do.
That's good. I like chords actually, and who doesn't? But no, yeah. As I saw another question on here that I wanted to ask you. I need to just quickly find it. It was a pedal question, and it was okay. Can't find it now. But it was about if you had your own pedal, what would you call it?
The Screaming Wizard. It would be like a Z-Effects pedal where they customize and hand paint, and it would be a wizard, like it's literally smashing like a guitar or something like that. It would be like a guitar like this.
Brilliant.
And it would be like a fuzz pedal, but what I like doing is like putting fuzz and then putting a boost on top of it, like the Joshua Homme kind of style, that it just kind of makes it scream.
Okay. You answered that quite quickly, which makes me think that you've been thinking about this. You'd like to have your own pedal then, would you?
Yeah, I think who wouldn't like to have their own pedal or their own custom guitars that are built for them, you know, like having their signature models. That's a dream for any guitarist in their own right, you know.
Okay. I didn't realize it was it was like a thing actually. Like obviously I knew that it was a thing that you get your custom. I didn't realize it was that hard to achieve.
Yeah, well, I think it depends on the certain companies you're with. I play Fender guitars, and obviously you look at the caliber of signature guitars from there. So Eric Clapton, you know, Jeff Beck, you know, like they are icons. In the Jimmy Page with the recent ones of the 2 Telecasters he's done, like. You know, these are guitar icons in their own right, and I'm nowhere near that level, you know, that playing. They've luckily given me some amazing guitars. Like what I've got is it's a 30th anniversary of the 1987 Telecaster, and when I saw it in their showroom in London, I was like, I'm looking for a single coil pickup guitar right now because our other guitarist Chris plays humbuckers, so I wanted something that kind of complemented the sound of his humbuckers, but also made me sound a little bit different. And I said, well, what about this guitar? And I tried it, and I've now had this as my main guitar live for the last 3 years, I think, now.
Wow, okay. So how many guitars do you own?
At one point, I probably had about 35 to 40 guitars.
Did you really?
Yeah,
my God.
I kind of bought it for a bit, but what I've done now is I've kind of thinned out the stock a lot more because I don't like the idea of guitars sitting in cases that don't get played. Because I think like a guitar, it should be loved, you know, and the longer it sits there, the more it's just going to get crap, essentially. It's going to be rubbish and it's not going to be looked after. And I just want it to be loved and played by. So when I played a guitar, or I'd get a guitar, I normally would try and write a song out of it. Every guitar I bought, I've tried to write at least one song out of it.
Have you? And so if that gives you a gift, are you then like, oh, thank you very much, you're now my new little girlfriend?
Yeah, I kind of look after them as well, so they kind of bring me joy. So, and there's some guitars over time that have kind of come and gone, you know, and there's some guitars that I've had a really amazing guitar. Like I remember I think it was Cincinnati, I think it was Mike's Guitar Shop. And at the time, I was touring a Gibson Trini Lopez, a reissue of it.
Yeah.
And I went into Mike's Guitar Shop, and they had this custom Gretsch White Penguin, custom by Stephen Stern, and I fell in love with it. So I kind of was like, well, look, I'm playing the venue next door at the moment. I'll go back and grab my Gibson Trini Lopez, and I'll do a trade with you. You know, so like I'd trade guitars for other guitars, and kind of just upgrade and find different things along the journey.
So did they trade it then?
Yeah, I did a trade with them. I had to pay a little bit of money as well, but it was worth it. I've still got it right now. It's like one of my prized possessions.
Where can we? A Ninja Pig has asked, can we see your guitar collection?
Okay, I couldn't show you. I can go and get the white Penguin quickly. So obviously I got the Fender Telecaster. I've got one that needs right now. I overplayed it the other day, but this is like really old. I got this imported from America, which is it needs some TLC, it needs a bit of work, but it's a Silvertone Jupiter, which is like a 1963 guitar, and it's got like the foil pickups.
Oh my god, that's sexy.
Yeah, it's like really like, it's like made of like, it's like polystyrene or something inside, but these are like really like, they weren't like sexy guitars or anything, and people didn't really care about them. But I used it on our 5th record called Night People when we worked with Jakir King. And, you know, I was like, what's that? It just looked really intriguing to me. And it has a really different kind of sound of character from like the pickups and how it was made and being old and with the foil pickups. It was just like, I've never heard anything sound like it. But not to kind of really badmouth it, it sounds really shit. But that's kind of like what makes it really good. Like when you're on a record and you need something that just sounds a bit like, there's something that sounds a bit like it's going to blow up. That's kind of what that guitar does. And also I didn't realize it until after some doing a bit of research. That was kind of the guitar, that was the guitar that Queens of Stone Age used on Songs for the Deaf. And that was like kind of the main guitar that was getting all that really crunchy, heavy, blown up guitar sound.
Oh my god, okay, cool. So you got that from America, did you say?
Yeah, I got it from America. After we recorded the record in America, I came home, I searched all across the UK for one, and I couldn't find one. And I was like, I'm just going to have to import one. I'm just going to have to buy one from America and import it over. So,
fair enough.
You know, after a couple of months, I found one. I'll go and get the Gretsch quickly. Hold on.
Yes,
Is there any other questions as well that people have got?
What, the Gretsch ones? You're getting quite a lot of love on here, Max.
What, because I'm getting at the guitar collection?
Yeah, you are. Originally, Epic says top bloke, he's got it all. And Brute again says, blimey, you're not right. Yeah, they're loving all these guitars. This is porn right now. You do realise that it's guitar porn.
This is
I love
every guitarist dream is to have an amazing collection. So that's what I was saying. Like I keep guitars now that like this one is just like custom Steven Stern White Penguin. You know, had a story about buying it on tour. And it's just I don't have a guitar like this as well. It's a bit more like rockabilly.
I'm in love. I want that guitar. Can you play something so I can hear what it sounds like?
Yeah, I don't know. Let me just plug it. It's going to probably be out of tune. So it's been in the case for a little while. It's going to be a little bit out of tune, but it's like...
That's all right. I know I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah, let me just have a quick... Let me not embarrass myself. Let me just have a quick tune of this so it doesn't sound like death. But this is like a guitar for me. I've toured with it like a few times, but I keep it more as like a home guitar and a recording guitar.
Right, got you. Are you tuning by ear?
No. I wish I can sometimes tune by ear, but like on a spot like this, I'm just like, I don't want to embarrass myself in front of all the audience and sound like rubbish, so. Really hard as well because I'm running through a Kemper, like it's an SML 50 clean, whichever amp that is based off. So, but it's very rounded, it's very warm and kind of woolly. So you get the general gist, but this one is definitely like more rockabilly blues kind of sound, a bit more clean.
That is beautiful. I want one of those now. I'm going to have a little obsession about that. We're getting loads of questions, Max. Okay, so let's have a look. Brute says, "Is that Gretsch a hollow body? Are all Gretches hollow body?" That's what he says.
Not all Gretsch's are hollow bodies. This one isn't a hollow body one, but you can get ones like the Chet Atkins ones that are hollow bodies, like the one that John Frusciante used in the Californication video. There's different variations of them, but this is like it's a solid piece.
Right. Okay. Corkner's asking. Yeah. Yes, Corkner, you can ask a question. Definitely fire away. Originally, Epic says, "What do you think of?" Oh God, it's that guitar again that I hadn't heard of before. It's a Schecter, is it?
Schecter.
Yeah. What do you think of a Schecter guitar?
It's personally not my kind of sound, but I get it.
It looks like a telly, doesn't it?
Some do, like, because I think Robert Smith from The Cure has a custom Schecter. His one's different from a lot of the other ones, but they're predominantly like a lot more heavy rock metal kind of stuff. So somebody like Avenged Sevenfold would probably use like a Schecter and all that kind of thing. So a little bit more chunky, kind of like fatter EMG kind of sound. That is what I would classify a Schecter being good for. But really more my style is a little bit more, you know, Telecaster. Like that would be my main guitar pick of choice. Like that's what I would normally go for. But not to say that I've played Les Pauls over the years and like 335s, and you know, I've had, what else have I've used, like Gibson SGs as well, and I tried some other like bougie companies that just didn't really work for me and my sound. So like my first guitar was a Squier Stratocaster, so it kind of felt like I was going back round to like a Fender way of living. And for me, so some of my favorite guitarists, again, you know, Kurt Cobain, you've got Jimi Hendrix, they were Fender players. So it's kind of like, that's where I feel like my sound kind of leans towards.
So how did you get your first guitar? Did you buy it or did someone buy it for you?
My family bought it, believe it or not. My sister was playing piano, and I was really jealous that she was playing piano. And my mum and dad like, well, I want to play guitar, Mum and Dad. Can I get a guitar? And they're like, you have to prove to us that you want to play guitar. So I had to wait, was it like 4 years before I got a guitar? And my first guitar I bought was from a school friend who got a brand new guitar after for like a Christmas. So his first guitar was kind of like there, and he was like, "Well, do you want to buy the guitar from me?" And I was like, "Sure, definitely." Like, Mum and Dad gave me the money for it for Christmas. It was like £100, and then
£100.
£100, yeah. So it did.
Nice.
It got me on my way. It doesn't matter what guitar you have. You can have a company made by anybody, but as long as you love it and you want to practice and play, that's all that matters.
Do you still have it?
I've got it at my parents' house, believe it or not. I don't have it at my house right now. I kept it at my parents' house, so whenever I go back home, I'm like, that's the guitar. You know, thanks for if it wasn't for my mum and dad getting me a guitar, I might have never started playing music and have a career in it after 15 years.
Good old mum and dad, I love it. Okay, lots more questions. Corkner says, Max, it's all moving, hang on. What are your favourite bands? Do you prefer the classic rock sound over the modern one?
I don't know, it's like time and place, you know, like, really, like, it depends on what mood you're in. I don't define, like, favourite stuff because I've got such a broad palette, but, like, I would sit here in a day and, like, maybe one morning, in the morning, if I'm making coffee, I might put on the Beatles, the White Album or Revolver, and then the next record I might listen to would be like Radiohead in Rainbows. So I can like kind of jump from eras of music and appreciate it for what it's worth, you know. And I think that kind of came from my family. Again, I kind of grew up in a family that listened to David Bowie, and they listened to the Police, and they listen to the Who and the Eagles, but they also listen to stuff like Marvin Gaye and Al Green and the Temptations. So I kind of had like a good mixture of music that I was surrounded by at an early age that made me, oh, cool, that's what this was, and oh, that's that, and it reminded me. And I remember my dad always blasting Pink Floyd, The Dark Side of the Moon in his car when I was younger, and always turning it up for Money. And like the Money riff is just iconic. Dum, bum, 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 boom. And I was just like, I love this. What is this? And then you kind of dive into the rabbit hole of Pink Floyd, and who's Pink Floyd? Dark Side of the Moon. And then you've got Wish You Were Here, and then you've got The Wall and all the other records. And then you're like, well, how do they get that sound? And what inspired them to get there? So I always try and look at music as a thing and not pick, oh, I'm a contemporary person or I'm an old rocker. I like music in general, and I think there's always, whatever's going on contemporary right now is always inspired by what's happened before. So do a bit of research and find out what it is that got them there.
Yeah, well said. And so who are you listening to at the moment that's kind of doing it for you? Have you got any, especially like guitar, on the guitar front, are there any guitarists out there that you're kind of sort of excited about?
There's that young kid from, it's called Toby Lee.
Right.
Toby Lee's, he must be like 14 or something, but he's an amazing player. He's definitely like, yeah, he's like one coming up from like the YouTube rankings and all that, like in the Instagram world of living. Again, keeping up with the modern way of what people are doing right now. So I would rate him highly as a guitar player. What else have I been listening to recently that would be like real rocking, you know? I rate Kevin Parker from Tame Impala.
Okay.
You know, I think he's got a very unique way of playing guitar and bass. That it's all about the groove and all about the feel for him. So, they're not like fresh new artists, but like I would go to him. And obviously the new Bring Me the Horizon song, Parasite Eve. I think Lee Malley has definitely got a unique sound and a trait of playing that is, you can tell it's Lee Malley from Bring Me. And I think that's always a great sign to know that he can write a guitar riff, and it's like, yeah, you know who that is, by who's playing a riff.
Sure. And you've been working on some new stuff recently then, haven't you?
Yeah, so our record's all wrapped up, you know, at the moment. I think the first song will be coming out in August at some point, which is like, it's quite a heavy, it's a bit of a fuck you heavy punk song. It's kind of got this like, you know, dare I say, Marilyn Manson meets The Prodigy.
Really? What?
About it. Yeah, it's like very.
That's really heavy for you guys then.
Yeah, it's like, well, I think we went through a few life changes recently, and I think there's just some of the material on the record is a little bit more grittier and angry, but done in a contemporary way. So let me just. Like, even just like when I'm sitting here and I remember like writing the riff, you know, like it must be about a year ago when I was sitting in here, and I think it was just after Keith Flint died from the Prodigy. Yeah. And I'm just sitting there being like, you know, like songs like Firestar and Breathe and how they make me feel when I go to a gig and how angsty I get. So I was sitting there being like, well, how can I write this riff? I just want something angry, and I dropped my guitar into drop D and started messing about with this thing. It's going to not sound amazing, it's a clean guitar, but it's like it's like really like kind of punky and trashy. It's like there's a no fucks are given kind of attitude. So
I like it. That is good.
Yeah, so that's the first time people will ever hear that. So your Twitch audience got a little sneaky peek of something that's not even released yet.
Brilliant. So have you got a release date for it?
It'll be Q1 of 2021. Obviously, with lockdown and what's happened, we were going to release music earlier, but for us, the way we kind of make a living is by playing live shows. So we wanted to put out music early, but we're like, well, if we put out music early, we're kind of just teasing fans and just making them wait so long for the rest of the work. So we kind of subconsciously made the decision to kind of just push it back a few months, just because we're like, at least we can start seeing what's going to happen right now. And I think we're all sitting here forever hopeful that live shows will be coming back again in 2021, because I think this year just feels a bit unrealistic with what's going on. So fingers crossed, you know, I think we're all, I know obviously being in the studio today with Josh and Dan, who I play in the band with, we're like, we just miss playing live shows. It's like what we've done for 15 years is make music and then go and tour it. And then all of a sudden it's like, we've made a record and it's like, right, well, we can't play shows at the moment. So, and there is something cool about doing like the live streams and all that, but I think you can never take away from the energy of being in a room watching an artist play, or if you're at a festival, watch them in a field. Like, there's no sense of feeling that you get other than being there in moment, in present time, watching it live.
Yeah, I hear you 100%. So is there anything any tips that you can give me on the guitar?
You know some scales?
I've got some, yeah, what scales? Hang on, the problem is I can't remember what the scales are called. Are you any good at knowing what they're called?
Not really, but the one I think is just the most memorable one is the minor pentatonic, which is quite simple. So if I was sitting here, we can play the minor pentatonic anyway. Let's play it on the 5th fret on the E, which is an A. We'll do the A minor pentatonic.
So you do it on the A. So
yeah, on the top E, on the low E string, on the 5th fret, that's an A.
Yeah.
That's an A. So if we're doing that, the minor pentatonic would be 5, 8.
So.
Yeah, so I'm also.
I'm a bit out of tune, I think.
No, it was me. I was in drop D. I forgot I was in drop D. I'm back in normal tune now. I've just changed the strings on my guitar. So actually, someone was asking me earlier if it keeps going out of tune. I think it does, but yeah. Anyway. It's going out of tune again. This is a good technique. Then, if your strings are going out of tune.
Yeah.
When I restring my guitar, I always hold the 1st fret and I just bend and I pull the string. I stretch out the string.
Oh, really? What, here? So then
it stretches in. As you can hear, I've just done that, and that's horribly out of tune now.
Right.
So yeah, I'll do the minor pentatonic, and it was using your index finger on the 5th fret on the A. And use your little finger, your tiny pinky finger.
Oh, on the 8th fret.
Yeah, so if you can get used, this is good training for your fingers here, Kylie. Because if you wanna, you're just doing that, just getting used to just kind of getting that rhythm of picking.
Oh, okay, I didn't know you.
Yeah, so like even just to kind of get your fingers used to kind of doing that motion. Just don't have to do the full scale straight away. Get used to being comfortable and not going at 100 miles per hour when you're first learning stuff. So for you, it could just be like as simple as if I just played the whole scale, just being like. And you can tell I bend the string out of tune.
That was cute.
Oh yeah, so it's only the 1st on the E string. Use your.
And then I go back to the 7th, do I? Okay.
Yeah, so then on. Yes, and then on. And then on the B, and on the B and the B string and the high E string, you go back to the pinky.
Okay, so I think it's like this, ready?
Perfect. That's the minor pentatonic scale.
Minor pentatonic scale. Okay, cool. I learned something new tonight.
I might be wrong anyway. Your viewers are probably like, no, he's completely wrong. He's got that absolutely wrong. So.
I love it. That's good. That's great. I see. That's what I need to learn is more scales, because I've got my little chord thing here that I just go through these chords. Look, you see, I've been going through it quite a lot. I've ripped it to pieces. So I go over that every day, and I have this amazing chord book here, and it's just got all these different chords that I put together, and I find that is great. I can just lose myself in that for like an hour.
Chords are great, and then the scales are a great thing to learn, especially when you're like, you want to start getting into points of improvising and playing solos and knowing your scales will help you just naturally take you somewhere without you even thinking about it. And you won't be thinking, which fret and is that going to be right? You just be like, oh, I'm just naturally know what scale I'm in right now, and I'll just start playing.
I can't wait for that moment. I can't wait. Okay, we've got a couple of more questions, and then I probably should let you go. What have you got to go back into the studio tomorrow?
No, I've got tomorrow off. I've been writing with other artists and been in the studio with Yumi at Sticks. So we're just kind of venturing out there, making music with other people as well, which has been quite nice after doing Yumi at Sticks for like 15 years. It's nice to go and give some of my knowledge and go and play with other people that it might enhance what they do as developing artists or writing and pitching songs for other people.
So who are you working with, or can't you say?
No, so I wrote some stuff with a guy called VC Pines, who's a UK artist. He's kind of like neo soul R&B, and I wrote a song with him called Cracks last year, so I'm going to be doing some more work. And I've just been working with some producers. There's a group called Bill and Ted, but not like actually like the film Bill and Ted. It's not like Billen Ted. So it's like Bill and Ted.
Bill and Ted.
So I've been working with them, and then who else was I in with last week? I worked with a few friends called Paul and Nick, who are other songwriters and producers, and we worked with a band called The Hara, who's another UK rock band, and I wrote a song with those guys that's coming out hopefully in the next month. So
I didn't know you worked with them. I had them on. Obviously, Download Festival didn't happen this year, but we did a virtual festival, and they were meant to play their first ever Download show this year. And they were so excited about it that they wrote a song about playing at Download when they got booked. Obviously, they never got to play. And so I interviewed them talking about that song. So what song it wasn't that Download song?
No, it wasn't that Download one. No, it's a song called Until It Happens. And I literally, before I got here and I was on the way back from the studio, I got sent the master, which sounds really cool. So.
Oh, does it? Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, so it's like, for me, it's just like, for an up-and-coming band to like kind of give a little bit of my knowledge and my experience to them and just help them like maybe make something they wanted to create that was a little bit more rockier and a bit heavier. That kind of took an influence of something like Black Rebel Motorcycle Club meets a bit Linkin Park-esque.
Really? Yeah, that's different to their sound. They're not like that at all, are they?
Yeah, so I'm trying to take some of my stuff that I like and kind of listen to what they like as well, and try and find a blend of the two that everybody really likes.
Okay, cool. Right, quick, I've got a couple of questions. Kulpner, I'm crap at saying these words, these names, says, I wish I knew how to play guitars. Well, pick it up. I've just learned how to play-ish, if you want to call it that.
It's always nice to learn an instrument, isn't there?
It's never too late. It's never too late. Okay.
Even right now, I'm learning piano. I just got my parents' piano over lockdown, and I'm learning an instrument again for the first time. And it's really difficult because it's like playing piano. It's like reminding me when I first started playing guitar, and you have to put the time and effort into it. If you want something to be good and you want to get better at something, an hour a day at least.
An hour a day. So have you been doing that on the piano?
Yeah, about an hour a day. I've been trying to learn the piano.
See, that is one of the positives, isn't it, of lockdown? Like, you've now been given the opportunity to learn how to play that. In fact, I think I saw you playing on your Instagram. You're really good at it.
I think it's because my sister played piano, so I've always been around pianos. And when we've gone to the studio, I'm like, okay, I'll just tinker about and I'll learn a few songs. But I want to get to the point that I can go and sit in a smoky jazz bar and play piano without anybody knowing, with a glass of whiskey, just sit there and just play the piano for half an hour and just noodle off and nobody knows who it is.
Yeah, you'll go and sneak off to Ronnie Scott's or something.
Maybe. I get my guitar and I do one-handed guitar while playing piano at the same time as well.
Now that would be cool. That would be very cool. You would nail that one. Listen, Max, I probably should let you go. I feel like I said you'd only be on for half an hour. That would be fine. We've been nattering away for ages. So
thank you so much for having me on, honestly, Kylie. And I hope all the viewers have really enjoyed it and seen a few guitars and enjoyed some of my knowledge and enjoyed watching it.